What is up, everybody? This is JP with JP Fitness. As you can probably tell, I'm a little under the weather. I'm a bit sick, but I still didn't want to not do a video. I'm not that sick, so I love doing these videos, so I'm definitely going to keep them coming unless I'm like in the hospital or something, but I'm pretty sure I'm coming out of it. But today's video is going to be a few ways that I would avoid if your goal is if you're trying to lose weight. A lot of people, a lot of goals in fitness: get faster, get stronger, be able to jump higher, gain muscle. But losing weight is probably, well, because it's such a problem with obviously the American society. I mean, obviously I live in America, but United States, but because it's such a huge problem in the United States versus a lot of other countries. I'm not saying it's not a problem in other countries. It's a huge problem here, though. A lot of people want to lose weight. That's the goal, but I'm just going to give you some things to avoid and not to do, or to keep an eye on if your goal is to lose weight. And I'm going to start off by saying that one thing that I'm not going to mention, because it's obvious, is that if you ultimately want to lose weight, you have to be in a slight negative caloric balance. So you have to be eating slightly less calories than you have to be burning slightly more calories than you're taking in, or to phrase it differently, you have to be taking in slightly less calories than you're burning throughout the day. So if you're burning 2,200 calories throughout the day, you should probably be eating around 1,900 calories. Or if you're burning 2,500 calories because you're working out a lot, then you should be probably eating somewhere around 2,200 calories. I would recommend not going further than 500 calorie deficit. I would probably try to stick around a 300 calorie deficit. And some of you may be saying, well, that's only 2,100 calories a week that I'm losing. Yeah, but, or even if you go 500 calories a day, that's 3,500 calories, which is 1 pound of fat. But no more than that. Again, if you go into such a huge negative caloric deficit, let's just say you eat 1,000 calories less than you're burning a day, your body's going to want to, obviously, you've heard it before, it wants to go into some starvation defensive mode, and it's going to start turning most of the food you eat, it's going to start storing it as fat, a lot of it, because it thinks that it's being starved. It's trying to save food for later. That's just how people came up through evolution, you know? If they were getting chased by a panther or something, and they killed it and they ate, and then they couldn't find food for a while, our bodies learned how to store food for later. We are not in that instance anymore, so if you eat too little, your body's going to thinking that, again, it's in starvation. But so again, slight negative caloric balance is key. So that's not going to be one of the ways that you need to do. I'm just staying up from the video. Now, number one is avoiding carbs. A lot of people, and I don't want you to avoid carbs. These are things I don't want you to do. As a lot of people avoid carbs thinking they're going to, start using fat as a fuel, which is true to some extent. Obviously, if you don't have carbohydrates, your body's going to get fuel from somewhere else, and it's going to be fat. But there is a major problem with this. I'm completely against ketogenic diets, or unless a doctor prescribes it for some other medical condition. I think I don't think it was epilepsy. I think it might have been schizophrenia or some other disease where they get put on a specific diet. But if you're strictly trying to do weight loss and you're completely avoiding carbs, that is bad. Well, why? One, if you don't have carbs, if you're not eating carbohydrates, we all know that carbohydrates are they're our immediate energy source. They're the energy source that we use first and immediately, or you can think of them as our high intensity energy source. So if you're not eating carbs, you're not going to have any direct fuel to use for your workouts, which is what carbohydrates primarily fuels. Weightlifting, high intensity cardio, even some medium intensity cardio are primarily fueled by carbohydrates. So you're not going to be able to work out as intensely or as hard as you want to in the gym. So if your goal is also to lose fat but gain muscle, if your goal is to ultimately look lean, have a lean, good figure, have whatever, if for girls, get nice legs, a big butt. For guys, you want, big quads, a big chest, big arms. You're not going to be able to lift as hard or as focused as you want in the gym. Two, things like our brain run on blood glucose, and our body needs a certain level of blood glucose, or obviously you're going to go into low blood sugar. So we have to have that. We have to have carbs, or you're going to, obviously, to put it simple, you'll die if you don't have some type of balance of sugar levels in our bloodstream. So we're going to get sugar in our bloodstream no matter what. We're going to get glucose in our bloodstream no matter what. Whether that's through carbs or whether that's through breaking down proteins through a process called gluconeogenesis. And then um, basically our body breaks down muscle protein, converts it into glucose via the liver, and then that's how we get glucose if you're completely avoiding carbohydrates. So yes, if you don't eat carbohydrates, your body does use fat a little bit more than it would have if you eat carbohydrates, but it also breaks down muscle to convert that into glucose also. So some people can try to fix that by saying, well, I'm going to eat a lot of protein. I'm going to be on a high protein, high fat a high protein, high fat diet. That doesn't fix the problem. There are mechanisms in our body that if there's certain regulators in our body that tell us that if we're not getting a certain amount of carbs to break down muscle protein, even if you're eating enough protein. So basically, to put it simply, is if you avoid carbs, you're going to not perform in the gym. You're not going to be able to work out as intensely, which is not going to let you maybe ramp up your metabolism as much. It's going to start breaking down muscle protein, which again, breaking down muscle tissue and losing muscle tissue is going to lower your metabolism throughout the day too, which is going to, again, lower the amount of calories. Both of those things lower the amount of calories you burn throughout the day. Their goal is to be able to burn more calories throughout the day so you can maybe eat more, build more muscle, and also to stay in that slight caloric deficit. If you're not burning that many calories throughout the day, let's just say you're only burning 1,800 calories a day, it's going to be really hard to eat less than 1,800 calories a day, 1,500 calories a day, 1,400 calories a day. That's ridiculous and that's dangerous. But if you're working out real intensely and you're burning 2,500 calories a day, it's real easy to eat 2,100 calories a day of healthy, good food. That's extremely easy. So again, do not avoid carbs. I wouldn't, again, just because I'm saying don't avoid them, I'm not saying eat a ton of them, but if you eat a proper portion of carbs on your plate with the proper healthy amount of protein and proper amount of healthy fats, but you're still in a slight caloric balance or negative caloric balance, then you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna build muscle, you're gonna perform well in the gym, you're gonna feel great, you're not gonna feel hungry because again, if you don't get carbs, you start to feel hungry, your body's not gonna hate you. So again, please just don't avoid carbs. Eat healthy carbs and just slight negative caloric balance. Now, two is eating too little. I see people eating way too little. I don't want to say it's an argument, but I got into I guess you call it a debate with someone online on the bodybuilding forums. I'm obviously wearing a bodybuilding.com shirt, but they were saying that which I call complete bullshit on, they say they build muscle eating 1,100 calories a day. Bullshit. You're not going to be able to build muscle eating 1,100 calories a day. That's called a VLCD, which is a very low calorie diet. That's extremely dangerous, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you're not eating the proper amount of micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals, because it's hard to get all the things you need in 1,000 calories a day, 1,100 calories a day. You're going to, you could pass out, be shaky, feel extremely hungry, get headaches, lose a lot of muscle mass, and on top of that, expecting to get a good workout and eating too little. Again, the key is slight caloric balance. Don't be in the negative more than 500 calories. That's just what I recommend. Number three, doing too much cardio. Okay, our bodies don't like doing two different types of adaptations at one time. For example, if you want to be a strength athlete, like you want to be able to lift a lot of weight, but you also want to be an endurance runner, those things kind of contradict each other. Both of those goals have different adaptations that our body takes. For example, endurance runners have more mitochondria. They just do. Mitochondria, you obviously know, are the powerhouses of the cell. They have more mitochondria to be able to because the whole thing with an endurance runner is they have great VO2 maxes, they have great aerobic endurance. So again, that, like I said, that leads to more mitochondria in the cell. Someone who's a strength athlete is probably going to have basically more efficient energy utilization in the phosphagen system. So they're basically going to efficiently use adenosine triphosphate, ATP, and creatine a lot more efficiently than an endurance runner is going to use. They have different adaptations per goal. So if you're always doing long or doing too much cardio, let's just say you're always running, you're always on the treadmill for an hour, look at a cardio, someone who's an endurance runner versus someone who's a bodybuilder or someone who does some type of just maybe high intensity lifting. But I mean, when I say high intensity lifting, pick someone who also watches their diet. If you take someone who watches their diet, who does lifting, and someone who watches their diet and just does a ton of cardio, I guarantee you that you're not going to want to be like, I'm not saying that's a bad look, but a lot of you who are working out, like I said, you want a big butt if you're a girl, or big legs and nice looking arms. If you're a guy, you want a big chest, you want to look chiseled, you kind of want that V taper. And doing too much cardio is going to make you look more like an endurance runner. It's going to, when you do too long of cardio, there gets to a point where your body, again, wants to start breaking down proteins you start becoming catabolic once they start breaking down proteins, and your body doesn't really want to hold a ton of muscle. People who do cardio a lot, the adaptations that make them good at cardio, they don't need a ton of muscle. You know, their body doesn't need it. For lifting though, your body obviously needs a lot of muscle if you're lifting often. Your body's going to adapt to whatever environment you put it in. So if you're doing a ton of cardio, but your goal is to, remember, also to increasing muscle mass, when you increase muscle mass, you increase your daily caloric expenditure. So increased muscle mass helps you burn more calories throughout the day, which goes back to what I said earlier. If you're weightlifting a lot and then you do short bursts of high intensity cardio, and you could eventually get your daily caloric expenditure to like 2,800 calories. And then from there, it's easy to lose weight because you can eat 2,400 calories, your deficit 400 calories. And if you eat healthy food, 2,400 calories is a lot for healthy food. That's 6 meals of 400 calories, and 400 calories of healthy food is a lot of food. I mean, that's a lot. And 6 meals, most people won't even eat that much. So doing too much cardio, again, is gonna reduce muscle mass. It's going to contradict you wanting to build muscle due to the adaptations that our body takes. And on top of that, it's not going to ramp up your metabolism, as let's just say you coupled weightlifting with short bursts of high intensity cardio. If you do sprints and box jumps versus things like jogging, the sprints and box jumps are going to ramp up your metabolism a lot more without reducing your muscle mass nearly as much, if at all. It might even help gain muscle due to the fact that it's such an sprints and box jumps are really explosive. They take a lot of type 2 muscle fibers, so they might even help gain muscle. So what I'm saying is just don't do too much cardio. It can hurt your goals overall if you're trying to lose weight. And number 4 is not training intensely enough. And by intensely, you may think, oh, just training hard. I try hard on everything I do. I don't mean by hard, because people use intensity in 2 different ways. Intensity is like training real hard, giving a lot of effort. So you can be a long distance runner and try really hard to do that race or whatever. But I'm talking about intensity as in percentage of your 1 rep max. Like, and that comes down to doing too much cardio too, is basically train more intensely, use weights, use heavier weights. Don't be afraid to train in the 7 to 10 rep range and ditch the cardio for a little bit. If you're doing a lot of weightlifting, or you're doing more high intensity training, you know, training above 70% of your 1 rep max, not using light weights as much. I'm not saying light weights aren't bad to build muscle or they're not bad for some type of whatever muscular endurance, but if you're just not training with heavy enough weights and you're doing, for example, if you sprint near your max effort, you're in 100% max or 90% max sprints versus jogs, which whatever it is for your VO2 max, you know, 40, 50% of you jogging, you're going to see more benefits. You're going to see more benefits to your physique and to losing weight versus the jogging. Now, I'm not saying there's another time and a place for jogging. I'm pretty sure I did a video about that. I've done so many videos now, not a ton, but I mean, I'm getting to do more videos that I'm almost forgetting what I talked about before. But I'm pretty sure I did a video talking about high intensity versus low intensity training and the benefits of both. So go watch that video if you want to find out about that. But there are benefits to low intensity training. I'm just saying that if you are healthy enough to do higher intensity training, like you don't have blood pressure problems, you're not extremely overweight, but you just have some weight you want to get rid of, then training more intensely, in my opinion, is going to benefit you a lot more. So medium to higher intensity training is better than like low to medium intensity training. So just trust me, you don't need to, you could look up it's not even a trust thing. You could look up the research yourself. Look up high intensity interval training or cardio or lifting versus jogging and walking and lower intensity, things like that. And you're going to see that one, it builds more muscle, obviously, when you weight lift, but it also ramps up your metabolism and creates more excess post-oxygen consumption, more workout, which is why you expend more calories throughout the day when you train at a higher intensity. If you like videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. You can share it to your Facebook, show a friend who's struggling to lose weight, or maybe you see somebody doing these types of problems. Check out my social media. Again, I have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook, and you already know about my YouTube. I'm going to post them all down below. If you have any recommendations to videos you want to see in the future, also please put those down below. Again, I know my videos can be longer than others, but I feel like it's very valuable information, and I'm trying to teach you guys here to learn more. I'm not trying to talk to you guys like an idiot, and I'm not trying to dumb things down for you. If you guys need me to make a little bit simpler videos or you have any advice, please post that down below. Again, I'm not trying to confuse anyone either, but that's just kind of like the demographic I'm going towards. Is I'm trying to be more like a teacher for you guys and teach you guys how to teach you about the science of exercise, because exercise is a science. Regardless if you think it's not, it is a science. But again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. But until next time, see ya.